welcome back to the Predator podcast. Here with me once again, Emmy, and joined by a cavalcade, a cavalry, and copium. Many faces around me. The first, Jack.
Hello.
Fresh. You might recognize him from usually over on the other side of me, on the desk, on the far other side of the room. And in the studio and out of the studio, we have our two wonderful observers. Still questioning whether Med1cz is real or an AI loaded into the system. And then Easy, Med1cz and Easy.
Hello.
Hello.
I like how you're also leaning into your mic at home, Med1cz.
Sorry. What? My mic. Look at my mic.
You don't have to. You can't advertise stuff that's already going to get bleeped out. We're here today. We're doing a wonderful interview because you two are the observers for EUL and for APAC North.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. You do other things as well.
Yeah. Replay operating, production, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think mainly.
We drop by on major events.
Yeah,
as well.
majors is kind of what I was alluding to there.
Oh, yeah.
The exciting.
It's all one blur throughout the year. If you got
Yeah, but like the exciting stuff.
the exciting stuff, like
Name some
major
majors.
grand finals.
Major grand finals. Which ones have you worked?
Every single one for the past 2 years.
And that's what we want to talk about today. Now, they might be a little bit shy and a little bit behind the camera in a room of cameras. This probably isn't the best environment for you. But at the same time, it's worth shining a light on people who have had a lot more of an impact on the highlights that people have watched at home than we ever could.
Yeah.
Between the pair of you, the Liquipedia speaks for itself. However, you have been the names behind pretty much every single Grand Major Final, Grand Game for the past 4 or 5 years between it. You obviously we were talking about your first SI, which was in Paris,
Yes. Yeah.
not too long ago. And we'll get to maybe the topic of where it might be a little bit later. Ante, you've worked SIs before?
Yes, the SI 2020 in Montreal was my first one.
Your very first one. What do you remember most about that?
The packed arena, definitely. It left a really good impression on me, having a couple of thousands of people just, screaming, rumbling, yelling. And it was actually right before the whole COVID stuff started. And it was just impressive to see so many people in one place watching and cheering for esports.
I guess the easiest way to sort of put a bit of a perspective on this would be to ask you both. I'll start with you, Stefan. What made you want to get into observing?
I always liked the analytical. Wow. I always
It's
liked the analytical part of the game. I used to be a player in the Benelux. My team disbanded, but I still wanted to be involved. And I got the opportunity to observe, and I was like, sure, whatever, I'll give it a go.
So you were really eager. You're excited with the prospect.
I think the eagerness came when I first did it, because
Yeah.
I found out it was really fun to do, and you can look at what you want to see, right? And apparently, throughout the years, I figured out that what I want to see is also what the viewers want to see most of the time, unless I miss stuff that happens. So I didn't have the connection with observing from the start, but once I started doing it, it felt amazing and really fun. So I pursued the dream of becoming tier 1 observer.
Sitting here
with you.
Sitting here on this wonderful table with the mirror window, with Jack,
That's not the dream.
No.
No.
I mean,
with Med1cz in a small box. Imagine if that was just a window, and like
just really sitting
Medics
there.
actually stood behind me.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in, but I can't find the doors.
What was how did you fall into this?
The first thing was like, I really like the game. I guess I'm a competitive person. I want to play it competitively. And then, balancing university, job, scrimming, and accepting the fact that I'm pretty bad at the game, I decided like, hey, maybe I could try organizing tournaments, maybe even casting tournaments. That's how I started, actually. And then there was an opportunity like, hey, do you want to give it a shot with only observing? And I was like, yeah, okay, let's give it a try. Why not? And it turned out quite well. And I started to like it and just kept kind of pushing the observing in Siege rather than anything else in Siege.
Do you both find it a bit strange that people want to learn about this stuff, that it's something that they want to interview you about or talk to you about or find out your processes?
Yeah, because in some way we're part of the talent team, as in we travel with the game, and our only game so far is Rainbow Six. But we're also just like production, and no one wants to know really what happens there, as long as it's a nice product, right? As long as what we see at home or what we see in the venue looks good, we don't complain and everything's fine. So yeah, it's a bit weird, but also I like talking about it. So yeah,
It's the perfect place to talk about it.
yeah.
Let's go through. I know what your day is like, and I know that this question's going to stress both of you out. Yeah. But if you would be so kind, as for the viewers and audience at home, between the pair of you, if you could break down what an average day is like for you two at a major. Starts with you wake up.
Yeah, way too
Okay,
early.
do we
6
talk
in the
about
morning?
group stages or the playoffs?
What would you rather?
There's a vast difference.
What would you rather talk about?
Playoffs, probably.
We'll start with playoffs.
Okay, it's also depending on the organizer.
Okay, well, let's not get into too much drama. Well, I don't want to stoke too many fires, but we'll say how does your day go at a playoff stage?
Okay, so playoffs are quite a bit easier than the group stage, because the days are less long and we can divide it better between ourselves. So usually one of us can sleep in and the other ones start work early-ish.
Define early.
So usually we have to get up at like 7 or 8, and then, normal morning stuff.
Breakfast, shower,
whatever, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, try not to smell.
You don't have to go into details.
Yeah.
This isn't what the people want to know about.
No.
Everybody expects.
Exactly.
The morning routine.
So basically, throughout the tournament, we've already seen all the teams, so there's not much prep. We just talk to each other about who have been the highlight players and what the strats have been. Some pocket strats we want to highlight again, like for example, Deepak's Echo play has been a major talking point in the last major, so we want to keep highlighting that during our matches, because the casters like to talk about it, the viewers like to see it. So those are things we discuss before going into a day like that. And then during the day, we just walk in and boot up everything, make sure the lobby's ready, make sure all the sound is working between the admins and the casters and everything. And then we just go into it. Usually takes us a round or two to warm up, and then observe all day, every day.
Until
it's done.
Until 10 hours later.
10 hours later.
And there's 2 of you at LAN, right?
3.
Three.
I mean, sorry, like when the game's going on.
Oh, when the game's going on. Yeah, most of the times it's 2 of us. So it would be Medics, myself, and then Red Like we bring in for the last few majors.
Mamma Mia, for those at home.
Yeah, the Italian stallion. And we rotate. But there have been majors where we have the opportunity to have 3 observers, so an extra monitor, an extra mini-map, so to say, to give callouts. We find that the more we work together, the more we get used to talking to each other during a game, because it can be distracting if it's the first time. So yeah, it's 2 or 3 people for a game.
Medics, how does that change with group stage?
I would say the group stage is more of a I wouldn't say more of a mess, but it's more exhausting, because it's just like in a production factor. There's a game after game after game after game. They're like best of 1 games. In best of 3 games, it kind of feels it feels like you have more time to figure out the teams and recognize some kind of place they're trying to do and predict action. But with best of 1 games, like as the teams themselves say, everything can happen in best of 1 games. We have less time to warm up, as Stefan mentioned, because we usually take initial couple of rounds to recognize what are the, let's say, key players who are going to open up a team fight or an action or something, or someone we want to focus more during the observing. But yeah, usually what do they have, like 7 or 8 maps per group stage
About
day?
8 in a group stage day.
Yeah.
So, which can take with the rotation between when teams set up, they need to have like a short warm-up time. They play the game, they need to take away all their equipment. The COVID rule set, the admins need to clean the whole area, then you bring another team, they have to warm up. So it can literally, we had like 15-hour days, like 3 or 4 days in a row, depending on the group stage. So yeah, it just takes a lot of
This is why
stamina and
I didn't want
concentration.
to force you to have to go through those memories. For context, as a caster on the perspective of that, for the 2 streams, we will have usually 4 duos, and we will take about 4 games each day. You will have 8.
Yes.
With the 3 of us, we just kind of like also mess with the rotation sometimes, because quite often, because of the dual stream setup, we have like Rainbow Six and Rainbow Six Bravo happening at the same time.
Yeah.
We have to, just kind of like separate the manpower we have available. So most of the games will be solo observed by one of us, while the other one is observing the second match, and maybe the third one will take like a 1 map of pause. Sometimes we'll have jump into a colleague to do the duo observing on the mainstream. And we kind of like just rotate, experiment, and try to fill like any gap.
What do analysts do, Jeremy?
Sit at home, watch the games.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't get any work for groups, do we? I get to co-stream it. I co-streamed the last one, so that was fine.
Yeah, so the opposite. You get to do it by choice.
Yeah, true.
So long days.
Long days. Very.
Long days. There's no sort of 2 ways about that. I guess on the back of that, has there been, or what have been the changes towards the game that you two think you've probably recognized more than anyone else? Obviously, from our perspective, we'll see the front-facing stuff, we'll see new overlays as an exciting caster change, or whatever. What big changes have you seen towards the build that might have, I guess, made things a little bit nicer for you?
Well, the new HUD is nice because it highlights gadgets. Well, it's been there for a while now.
Been on for a while.
But what we look out for is on the HUD on the sides, there is the white highlight when a player selects their gadget. And there is a white underline for which weapon they choose. So, for example, when they want to throw a grenade, the white highlight switches from the main weapon to the grenade. So we know Sledge, for example, is cooking grenade.
I didn't know that.
So we know...
Yeah, I found that out like 2 days ago.
Yeah, so we know when to switch to Sledge. Because we know, he's cooking a grenade. We go to Sledge. We see where he's aiming it at. If there's someone above where he's aiming it at, we can go in top-down, go above one floor, and see the person explode, which is very fun.
This is like learning how magic tricks are
Because
done.
I said to him, I said, how do you and medics always catch every grenade kill and every C4 kill and get it in top-down with such consistency? He's like, yeah, it tells you in the HUD. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's also why we can't tunnel vision. For example, last play day, I was focusing on D-pack swinging on bank outside of stock into skylight. But I should have noticed the highlight because Cryan was throwing a C4 from below, got a double kill.
With a double kill, yeah.
And I only had D-pack looking at an explosion when 2 people fly past.
Still pretty cool.
Still pretty cool. But I mean, that's why the highlights and the HUD are very welcome for us.
In-game director or observer?
Observer, yeah.
Medics?
Observer, yeah.
All right.
We feel there's a
That's
difference
easy.
between these 2 roles.
I kind of wanted a bit of drama there.
Okay, no, like one of our lovely producers from previous events once made a tweet about it being in-game director, and we kind of said, well, thanks, but not really, because we only have the 1 game feed. We don't direct anything. We have 1 screen, 10 POVs hidden behind that, but we don't know what that's showing until we click it. So there's not us like saying camera 2, camera 4. There's just us looking at the screen and hoping we select the right person. It's a little bit more than hoping. We know, and we see the gun, like the bullet counter go down, and we see grenade indicate, like just mentioned. But it's not
we're
like
not gambling with this.
other titles where they have multiple screens, multiple POVs that they can choose from. I just have the 1. So it's an observer. I spectate, and I don't direct.
You're in the mix, though. You're like a second AD. The person who directs the extras. You got a lot of people you can jump towards, like a ghost.
Yeah, and the 1 camera from above. So we have 11 cameras. So this
11 cameras.
Yeah.
You're like a...
I have been asking for majors to have, because of course we have the replay features during the majors. So we have 10 different PCs. So this is how we do it. We have 10 extra PCs that all follow 1 player. We have a macro. We just click the macro and it all follows player 1, go to first person, player 2, go first person, all 10 PCs. That's how we do the highlights. We also, of course, have those inputs. So we can make a grid out of that and we can look at all people at the same time. But we haven't had a chance to work with that. And also it's going to be, of course, we have to learn how to use it and how to look at all 10 screens at the same time. Because now we just look at the 1 and, like I said, we use the indicators to decide. But it would be cool in the future to have all POVs to our availability.
I actually, in Berlin, because they were all just on 1 table, lined up, all 10 of them, I actually watched a whole game just from the 10 POVs strolling up and down the table.
Yeah, and that's how we do
It's quite interesting.
the replays as well. Because there's just a guy with a headset and he says, player 4 killed player 7. and then we know which thing to clip.
Luckily, the players are numbered
Yeah.
as well. Be confusing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they do have a certain order to enter the lobby and how they're
Oh,
seated.
do they?
So yeah,
Has anyone ever messed
it's
that
planned.
up?
Yeah. But that's not our problem. Then admins need to do the cleanup.
Who are the players you're always excited to see enter one of your lobbies? Are there any? Are there any names who you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, Aniton.
Aniton?
Yeah, he's so funny. It's also not something like what he types in chat is not fit for broadcast.
Well, I think that's we obviously get to see and hear the players either side of games.
Yeah.
We'll sometimes when we're casting, we'll have the lobby screen in front of us as a clean feed, and we'll see chat going.
Yeah,
Aniton is a very funny man.
it is.
In a specific,
Yeah,
he turns a full chat for the game.
It's every time that he goes to an international event and when he scrims like American
Yeah.
or European teams,
Yes.
they teach him words in their local language.
He's romantically invested in a lot of different players around the world, and he's happy to express that love and passion.
I think he's very happy that Lexing came to his region.
Very happy that Lexington came to his region. Are there any players that they get in the lobby and you're like, we got to observe this guy? Not in like a, but in like a bad way, but in like they're a tricky player to observe because you never really know.
Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Yeah, we actually discussed that with both you casters and the analysts. Which is the hardest team to observe? And yeah, it's Cyclops. They always do something crazy, and sometimes one player will pop off. Sometimes it's a different guy popping off, and it's just kind of hard to follow. Like they're really explosive. I don't know which word to use.
It's a good word.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
How do you
I mean, even
prepare
the teams
for,
that are playing against them.
How do you prepare for a team?
Well, I would say for UL and APAC North teams, we basically don't do any prep as we're following them through the season, and we kind of like recognize the play style. For me, honestly, LATAM teams are kind of hardest to follow. So I always need a couple of rounds to figure out like how do they play, because we're not working on the regular seasons of the leagues, and because of the time zones, it's just messy to follow every region properly. So yeah, I mean, Stefan mentioned it before, the warm-up rounds, like it sounds funny or as a joke. It's not a joke. We literally warm up where we figure out, oh, okay, this player is the entry, this guy is the fragger, this guy is support. And yeah, obviously we want to focus more on the players who will be first to do something, first to enter the building, first to initiate a gunfight, or maybe first to use a gadget in a specific way that's going to impact the round, like Twitch drone, just rolling around and shooting down other gadgets.
Got a friend. He's called Jack Allen. He told me in confidence, he said he really wants to get into observing. He really wants to give it a go.
I would love to.
Would love to go.
Yeah.
What bit of advice would you give him as like just one little thing of like this will help zhuzh your game up?
Don't. Don't do it.
Why?
You'll get trapped in the production room.
And I'll never get out.
You'll never get out.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can. Mandy did.
Mandy did, yeah.
Mandy, wonderful talent.
Yeah,
Down in-
and coming back to as well, like difficult regions. Mandy has been a great help understanding LATAM teams because her favorite region is LATAM, although she's coming from the APAC South region, of course. So working on events with multiple talent from different regions helps us because we can talk about those teams and those fragging players and those side players and whatever, the highlights of the game basically. So that helps me personally, just talking to people like, hey, which player should I look out for? What's their play style? Do they play really aggressive? Do they jump out? Do they play turtle strats? So that's, for me, very useful. And also, like you said, she got out of the production room.
Did. It is possible. But you would, forgive me for putting words in your mouth here, you would hate to be in front of the camera all the time.
Yes, I would.
It's not, you want to be in the production room.
Yes.
So I think you're saying don't because you don't want him to replace you.
Yeah, because
Then you'd have to be in front of the camera.
everyone knows, then I have to be an analyst.
You would have to be an analyst.
I have to.
It's the way the world works.
life.
It's the way the industry works.
Yeah.
Medix, what advice do you have for my friend Jack Allen?
Get good sleep before broadcast, drink a lot of water, and bring some chocolate.
That's
for the
just
broadcast.
general health advice.
I'll drink to that.
Yes.
It's like, well,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's helping me a lot.
How How will I do this race? Get good sleep, drink water, bring chocolate. Thanks, man.
It's really easy
It's
to
like the
lose
live,
focus
laugh, love of
after a round.
advice.
Yeah, well, he is
Yeah.
kind of right for
On-
events because, like I said, long days, so you need to be well rested. But also, come on, man, give him something. Or I didn't either. So
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay.
so,
I'm wondering
On a more serious
so, so what you want to do is start off by watching the games from an observer point of view. Like in every situation, what would you show, and not like what would you have shown, because we don't get that, right? If we make a mistake, it's already happened.
Yep.
If people point out like, oh, you should have gone to that person, we know, but we can't anymore because it's already happened. So pause the game and be like, okay, what would be interesting now? And then see if we did the same thing, or see if you got it right when you try to observe in like a replay or whatever, or an official match. Watch the indicators to see who's shooting, who's holding gadgetry, if Flores is droning or whatever, stuff like that. That's a very important one. Try to keep it uniform, have the camera in the north-facing position most of the time, so all the casual viewers will know where we are in the map and which doorway faces which way.
Yep.
Also, try to use a controller for the slow movement panning. Makes it easier than the stuttery WASD keys.
There's a lot of advice.
He's seen me in the match replays.
you're gonna be-
Yeah, it's not great.
all
It's
over
not
the
great. Yeah, I need to give him that one. So I think those are that's a really good foundation starting off, and then it's just getting a feel for it, doing it a lot, and hope you're right more often than you're not.
Try to make like a storyline in your head. Like, what do you want to show? Do you want to show a player entering the room, or you want to show a different side of the map where his teammates are just trying to open up a wall, or like just cut off a certain rotation, and stick to it, like with no sudden jumping between different points of the map. So it's kind of like an action easy to follow. Listen to the casters. I think one of the best things we can do as observers is to be in communication with the casters all the time. We obviously have to listen to them, like live, listen to them, and it's useful if we can like communicate between each other. Maybe if we want to suggest some ideas, have requests. Maybe we have requests for casters, or casters might have a request for us, and just work on that as well. But yeah, like the main point is the storyline. We are telling a story to the audience in the end.
But not as directors.
Not as direct.
That was covered earlier. You do already communicate. For those who don't know, the fun segments that you see in EUL and APAC North broadcasts are behind the minds of you working alongside the observers, in terms of they'll come in on the day and the analysts will say, hey, observers, whoosh, we need this clip put together. Mm-hmm. And so it's a dialogue. It's something where we all work.
And actually had a really specific clip that Easy had to do. It was like a full step-by-step instruction guide.
Really?
On this one clip she wanted to
it
do.
was a
So between 1
blockbuster
minute 10 and
movie.
1 minute, I need you to show this person from this angle, and then from 1 minute to 50 seconds, I need to show this person from this angle.
Yeah.
Maybe Anne's the
And
director.
she was just standing there behind me, like,
like Spielberg.
yeah, she's the director. Also, she used to be a teacher, so I thought, I had to do good. I wanted to earn those stars.
We do have a gold chart
Yeah.
in the background with their names on it. We give them a gold star each time they perform well. You mentioned very briefly, I'm just going to segue for a second into utilizing a controller to observe. I've heard of some observers using quite weird peripherals to observe.
Yeah.
You both just use controllers. What's the weirdest that you've heard or have seen?
So the way we use the controller is different because I like to use it as a mouse, basically. I use my right hand on the left joystick to basically just use as to hover. And I use my left hand on the keyboard to select players. So even when I'm hovering, I can switch to a different side of the map to highlight.
Computer keyboard, not musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or clavier. So, sorry for that. So I use it as like a mouse. I know that Med1cz, for example, picks up his controller and puts it back down when he goes to first person or to a more direct observing. Because, of course, the top down is mainly for the start of the round and for highlighting where the execute is coming from. In between, you want to be first person most of the time. So when following the narrative, like Ant already said, is you go, for example, from a Thatcher to a Termite to a Bandit, and you go all first person, and then maybe top down to show the breach opening or not opening, depending on how the Bandits record. So for me, that's easier because I can just move my hand slightly and still switch between all those POVs and people playing. Ante uses the controller, so he switches between players with the controller as well. I cannot do that because when I started observing, I used mouse and keyboard and not a controller. So I had to learn to adapt to use the slower movement of the controller. And the weirdest one I've seen was an observer that was also working in the Benelux a while ago, quite some time ago, who uses the controller in one hand and then pinky fingers on the keyboard to like do dash hands on the keyboard to press different POVs. And that's looked pretty
I
fun.
just had to try and do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I saw do you know the little joystick for flight simulators?
yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That
And
would make
it
it
worked
smooth, though,
quite
right?
It would be
well.
very
Top down.
smooth.
It is. It
Yeah.
was extremely smooth to move the camera. Although I just don't like it's bigger than a keyboard. Like it
I know
takes
some observers who use
a lot of
pedals
place on the.
as
Yeah.
well. But it
I
depends on
heard
the
that
game,
as
I
well,
guess. It
but-
depends
I
on.
guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of perspectives in Siege. A lot of.
I know of one observer who basically modified the controller to have a keypad in the middle.
Yeah, I know.
I
that
think
one
I've
as
seen
well.
that one.
Yeah.
I think that might be Origin.
I think it's our general.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, used to observe Nordics region. Yeah.
In the UK once upon a time. Is there any observer drama?
Yeah, loads.
This is the time.
Yeah. For example, there's
They're
this
horrible.
one UL and APAC observer. He's called Med1cz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Weirdo.
He's right behind you.
Oh, oh no.
In the little window.
No. On a professional basis,
You don't have to.
everything's amazing. Honestly,
Amazing.
yeah, I think we're in a really good spot.
I can fight a fight for you right now if you want.
So you what?
Am I allowed to fight a fight for you right now?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take it away. I'm going to use the power of the podcast
Yeah.
and my positions out here. I think you guys should get free stuff at majors.
I agree.
You don't have to say anything at
We
this
support
point.
that idea.
Yeah, because the pair of you are talent in our eyes. We've always been very staunch on this. And you do work very, very long days. And occasionally you don't get the free hat. You should have the free hat.
I wear hats.
You wear hats.
Yeah.
I don't wear too many hats. I'll wear a hat,
Just
I
the
was
one.
able to wear a hat.
depending on the time. Medics cannot wear a hat. But he should
I could.
still get the hat.
Yeah. To be fair, last few times
Yeah.
we got the stuff.
You should be, in my eyes, your talent.
Thank you.
Not just an observer.
Okay.
I had to throw in.
You make
Yeah.
it sound so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't give you all the credit. What's your
Stop
opinion on
saying
unlimited overtime? Both of you paused there.
Okay.
I-
So
I
my
can
earpiece
see,
fell
like,
out, so I
both
don't know if
sides.
he's talking.
No, he's there as well. You can see him.
Oh, I can see him. Yeah.
This is there as well.
Yeah, okay, I can take over early fix your earpiece. It's like conflicted. Obviously, for like the competitive integrity and for the like tension and audience and storyline, yes, infinite overtimes are good. But I don't think Siege is such a fast-paced game comparing to some other games where infinite overtimes work better just because of the length of the round and the dynamics, or how does it, what do we have, like 5 minutes per round basically, with the pick phase, prep phase, drone phase, possible plant, and it's really exhausting for the teams as well. And I would assume that a lot of production teams are having a nightmares with the schedule with infinite overtime. So there's like two sides of the coin.
It adds a lot to your day.
It does.
I mean, it adds more to our days, it adds more to the team's days, it adds more to everybody else's days. However,
It can be pretty cool,
it can be cool.
but also, no, just move on to the next map. If you lose it, you lose it. If you win it, you win it.
We've actually found, for all the opinions on unlimited overtime here, we found the neutral opinion, which is,
Yeah, I mean, people hype it up all the time. And there was this, I think it was Empire G2 game once.
Yeah,
Yep.
the coastline.
That was
Coastline, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it was cool because it was the longest game ever, but also it was the longest game ever. Like,
long isn't always,
And it was on
no.
coastline.
And if it's like nail biting rounds every time, and if it's good siege, sure, keep playing forever. But if it's just trying not to lose a game,
yeah.
just get it over with.
What about the solution of just the last map in a best of three? Because like this is more me coming at it
like
from an
that one.
analytical perspective, right? Is that like when you pick a map in a best of three, the opponent picks the starting side, but because of that, then you pick the overtime starting side as an advantage, right? So you could defend in overtime on say theme park.
Yeah.
But if it's a decider map, nobody essentially has the advantage in the starting sides, so it then should just roll through in unlimited.
Yeah,
like
that
quarterfinals,
definitely works
semifinals.
better.
it could be that, or it could be instead of a best of 3 overtime, which it is now, it could be like a best of 5. I think that would solve most issues
Yeah.
because you have more rounds to play out, but not unlimited. For example, if it's a best of 5 finals and it was 7-1, 7-1, 1-7, 1-7, why keep playing on a less map? Like if it's been one-sided, just I think you're right that because of the side advantage there needs to be some change, but I think a best of 5 in overtime would solve most of that.
Yeah.
Who's the most frustrating talent? This is now just me. You can turn the cameras off.
The most frustrating talent
Yeah.
for me personally, it's Hap.
To listen to all the time.
No,
Because you have to listen to us the whole game.
Yeah.
You've got us in your ear.
That is the thing, but also because he's Dutch.
He is.
Yeah.
If you didn't know.
I'm Dutch.
Yeah. Also
clearly.
Dutch.
Yeah, and he throughout the years he's become like my little brother, kinda, a figure like that. So I want him to do well, but also I like to hate him. I like to.
I didn't expect an answer to this question. But
Yeah,
I think I'm getting
no, I think.
Oh, my pack just fell.
See, we talk about happen stuff.
Stuff just breaks.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Hap.
thanks, Hap.
Medics.
Clearly not sponsored by Hap.
Yours is Des.
I do have a running joke with Des and Ace that every time I'm observing with them, we quite a lot of times, not every match, we always go into like complete overtimes. And it became a bit frustrating. It's like we're cursed or something. And even the production guys are like, Medics is observing, we're cursed, we're playing overtimes, we're staying here until the
We're
morning.
going all the way, Dad.
I like the idea of just all the production ceremonies going, oh, Medics observing, we're cursed. And he's like, why are you bullying me?
Yeah, I gotta cancel my plans now. I won't sleep. We're going to overtimes and
Sleep. We'll get in the hot tub. I remember that was your favorite thing about an SI. Was it an SI?
Yeah, when he said about SI in Montreal and he was talking about the arena, I was like, the first time I ever met Medics was in the hot tub.
In a hot tub.
SI
In
the hot
20,
tub.
yeah.
That was your favorite thing.
I'll tell you the first time I met Medics.
Yeah.
Because I was still an analyst/coach for Trust Gaming in Valencia, and Medics was observing the playoffs. But during the group stage, we were all in the BYOC corner, stuffed away with all the Spanish teams and one Italian team. To get out of the BYOC, you had to come top 2 in your group. There were 2 groups. And then you got to the main event where Medics was observing. I didn't know Medics. I didn't know about observing back then because I was still focused on being a player/coach for a team. We were doing quite well. And then all of a sudden this guy comes up to me, or to one of my team, to Leonsky from J-Links. And he starts asking about our map bans and about our operator bans for every map. And Leon just gives them out like it's nothing. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're trying to win this thing. Why are you giving them all of our information? Turns out, Medics was helping out Wikipedia, collecting data on all the teams. And I just yelled at both Leon and Medics, like, why would we give out that information?
He was
and Leon was
so
like,
pissed.
we don't care, we're winning anyways. And Medics was like, okay, I'll just take all the information I already got, and just walks off. It was our first ever interaction.
What was the second interaction like then? Did you remember that one at the time, or is this something that's just come back as a recollection?
I didn't.
Medics should.
Yes.
He's like, remember the Dutch guy that screamed at me?
yeah, I got the map bans and op bans from other teams anyway. So
He didn't need him. He just wanted to mess him up.
that was a fun tournament. Yeah, there was also the fire alarm incident and everything.
Man,
Valencia was really cool. It was my actual first international LAN.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How did
My
you
basic,
get?
like,
What
my
led
first
to you getting the
event.
call up? Because you were the first, I think, name of the current major observers that sort of made a name for yourself.
So 2019 was like my first shot, I would say. The Ubisoft community manager messaged me on Twitter like sometimes during spring 2019, like, hey, we would like to have you for E3 to like observe a show match.
Was this the T-Pain one?
Yes.
You got to
that was the
observe
T-Pain one.
T-Pain playing
Yeah,
Siege.
and Liliadi.
Wow.
I have to say, T-Pain was a really cool guy and a really entertainer. It was a really fun match. And there were also streamers as well. I took a picture
but
with
no one cares
Shroud.
about
That's
Bikini
like one of my
Birdie.
biggest achievements.
Who?
Humst?
Whomst? Anyway, you were saying that was the call up. Was your first call up was E3?
Yeah.
That's quite a big first.
That's where I met Parker as well. Oh, well, I would say that Ubisoft had, can I say, like a list, like of some upcoming people they could bring to new tournaments, new broadcasts, and I guess I was on the list. And that show match was like, I guess, a good opportunity for me. Like, hey, are you interested? Come in. If you do job well, then you might get work at future events. And everything went well. Everyone's happy. And during the same week, then I got an email from DreamHack staff like, hey, we want to have you in Spain for Valencia. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And that's where it all kind of like exploded and everything went up for me, because after that it was it was Valencia. Then we had OGA split, and then we had SI in Montreal.
Was this the one that you cast, or because
that's the LAN event of OGA,
the LAN event? So season 3.
Yeah, so this is 2019.
Yeah. You were a
casting
caster
with
once?
Demo back then.
Yep, I cast with
one. Yeah, but those were dark times, not fun times.
You cast with Starnap.
It was. Yeah, I know, but it was like a mostly community cast and solo cast of various Go for Cups. There was a lot of community leagues, just like Discord servers.
Well, you and I were both on
qualifiers.
The community caster list for ESL when it was about 30 people. Yeah. Were you on the list as well?
Never casted a single game.
Never cast a single game.
I think.
But accepted.
I think half of the stuff here.
Half of the stuff here, yeah. I remember Des kicked up a fuss when he first got into Siege casting, because he was like, I shouldn't have to go and ask for these games and request games on the ESL brackets for like SI calls or whatever.
So it was like in the trenches, we were fighting for the games
to do it for. See, this is the drama. I get to spill it now because he's at home. He's doing other things, really. All right, we'll start to find a spiral towards the end of this interview. It's been lovely having you both. I guess the main question now, or the final question I'll pose, is there a round or a bit of a game that you remember that you observed where you're like, this is pretty sure hot? It's a tough question. You've observed a lot of rounds.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about loads of them right now, but which one is the best? And I think
it doesn't have to be the best.
No, because the one round that I like a lot is also one where I made a huge mistake.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was the final round of the final game of the Berlin Major. And it was Rogue Phase, of course.
Yeah.
And it was on Clubhouse, and it was Kanto got a massive double kill upstairs. Apparently sprayed someone through a wall. We never saw that because I was focusing on if I was going on the middle floor and bar side. And I still hate myself for not...
I like how I was like, do you have a good moment?
Yeah, so now...
And then you were like,
now here
I hate myself.
Now here it comes. So the moment they start executing on the bar side, there's the echo drone of Deepak in the air above the bar. And you can see them all like shooting at each other and having all the angles from the echo drone. And then the last moment you see the Valkyrie missing a whole magazine on the last player and then shooting with the deagle like around their face, all from the echo drone. And I think that in combination with the cast from the Satchu and Ace is just an amazing moment that I'll remember probably forever.
Same to you, Medics?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Maybe one really older clip. I do reckon maybe Fresh might remember it because he kind of like gave me a shout out on Twitter. It was during the APAC League regular season of 2020. During those, I think it was like stage 1. We had all the COVID times and all, and we had an online broadcast. And I know Dev Marda was casting with someone. I'm not sure with whom that game. It was Fnatic against someone. And I think it was Alasti who clutched like a 1v3 where he threw a C4 from CCTV on Clubhouse through the rotation towards the cache. And I just followed, like perfect follow of that C4 where he lands a double kill and the ragdolls in Siege, the bodies just go flying and it was a really cinematic shot. And then with like a second and a half delay, then Dev is just screaming, ah!
He does do that.
It was a really cool shot, yeah. And I think it was a really cool shot, and with a combination of overhyped casting, it ended up being a really good clip. And that one kind of stayed with me.
Do you have any moments of these two? Not of you.
Well, I remembered both of those moments that they both said. I don't know. Like I think I say it just every time that there's a C4 kill or a grenade kill. Generally, obviously there's loads of them in Siege at the minute, but I have a different relationship with observers to most of the, I would say, viewers.
Not like Anaton's relationship.
No. But well.
Yet.
Because obviously, as an analyst, I look for a lot of top-down play, whereas the observers obviously try to stay out of top-down, especially when the execute's going on. So, like, I know there was one game yesterday where Easy observed the last 30 seconds of a round in top-down, which is, he doesn't do it a lot. And he texts me straight afterwards. He's like, you can telestrate that one.
Yeah, I saw the execute happening. I saw the operator picks. I knew they were gonna attack the top bomb side on border the way they always do, like hop in from a window, hold the balcony side, plant on the concrete stuff. And I just knew, like normally I would try to pick a person who goes in first and see, like hopefully catch some gunfights. But I know that Jack loves to telestrate that same action.
He does.
I think he's done it 4 times.
I have done it 4
So
times.
I had to really force myself to stay in top down. See the Amaru jump in the frost mat, see the execute happen with the EMPs and whatever. Turned out great, but I mean, I was just like, this is for Jack.
It's not natural to you, is it, to watch an
Go
execute
for
in
it.
top down?
Have fun.
If anything, that sort of, I think, culminates most of what we're saying here is, although a lot of the glory is sort of taken from the viewer's perspective towards the analysts, towards the hosts, towards the casters, it truly is a symbiotic relationship between observers and the people in front of and behind the cameras. Because there's always, and we have the pleasure of working with the pair of you every single week in and week out. We've developed these relationships.
You guys are so lucky.
Yeah, well, you don't have to say it like that. Yeah, it is, because we get to this stage now where the craft that we put forward is purely driven by how well we work together and synergize together. And I think it says a lot that there's stuff that now doesn't need to be spoken or doesn't have to be spoken, just based on you telling the story, us picking up on the story. And I think it ties into, as well, when you both gave highlighted moments there, you also referenced what the other people in this sort of moment were doing as well. I think it's a very important part, is how well you two know the game, but also know us idiots, and keep the balance fluent.
Yeah, and it's really nice for us as well. You know, one of my best moments while working is when Des and Ace are talking about something, and I highlight that part of the map, and I hear Ace saying, "Thank you very much, Easy."
It just fills you with joy. But to be honest, Tim saying anything like that,
Yeah.
like if Des says it, you'd be like, "Ugh,
Yeah, exactly.
Des. That's Tim. It's like, oh,
Yeah, nice.
little Tim. You have big medics actually at the minute.
Yeah.
Makes you look like you have a halo.
Yeah, that
He
was
is a saint.
planned.
Do you feel heavenly?
Absolutely not.
I think that's about time to wrap it up. Unless you have anything else you want to pressing ask them.
I admire you for, especially, you know, when you're talking about group stages, how long you work.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
whenever, and I guess, you know, this is probably more a blurb on my part, but like the observing side of it, when you watch a game as a casual viewer, you're just shown what it is. When you're a caster, you kind of just, you're talking about the overall of the round, and then you're shown up bits of action, right? And then you're talking about what's on the screen. Whereas for observing, you've got to be thinking about 10, well, or more variables, right? And then to do that for potentially 8 games in a row at groups and keep that concentration, like, there's not many people that could do that. So I have, like, I think I've said this to you both privately anyway, but like the amount of admiration I have for observers and the fact that you're able to keep like such consistent quality is like, for me, is what makes, because observing in Siege is hard as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're working with somewhat of a limited tool set, so, you know, I don't know, I respect it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I looked at
Appreciate
it
it.
because I couldn't look at medics.
It's tough to look at. You feel
I
like
delivered that too easy, but
you're looking up at medics.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
Now you both get to take a bow. Wonderful. And on those wonderful bows, thank you. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for this breakdown, the interview. It will be up at some point. You will not really see these two faces too much, but you should follow them. Do you want me to shout out your socials? Or do you want
Yeah, do my Instagram.
No. You can do your Instagram.
It's Stefan. That's what Stefan is. STEPHAN 5544774594565447.
He's
You
not
can do it in
joking.
post-production, like
No,
across
he's
the whole
not.
screen,
He's
right?
not. It's like, you know when you have like the number that goes along the bottom. It's also going to come back in and go along the top because it's that sort of long.
It's spiraling like my life.
It's easier to follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, easy R6S.
Easy as success. And Medics.
It's Medics with double Z at the end and
And a one.
number 1 instead of I.
Why do you
Yeah.
have the number 1? Is it because you are...
It looks cool. I always thought, like, as a kid, like, all these gamers, they have numbers in their names. I should put what number in my name as well.
Nice. And
I
shout
was
out,
young.
shout out to Medics' dog as well.
Yeah. Shout out to Abby.
Let's go, Abby.
And a shout out to Eclair, your hamster.
Yeah, Claire, legend.
And a shout out to Jack.
Thank you.
You know him. You've seen him on
Let's
camera.
go, Jack.
You've seen me on camera. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you on the next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wave.
Wave.
Do another bow. Thank you.